Welcome to Barbara's Bulletin, the podcast where we bring you the latest news and updates from around the world. We're starting off with a complex and evolving story from the Middle East, where tensions between Iran and the United States continue to simmer. Recent protests in Iran have resulted in a significant crackdown by authorities, with reports of hundreds of people killed and many more arrested. The Iranian government has been facing mounting pressure from its citizens, who are demanding reform and greater freedoms. In response to the protests, Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian has acknowledged that the government is ashamed of its actions and is willing to listen to the voices of its people. However, this statement has been met with skepticism by many, particularly in light of the mass arrests of reformist leaders in recent days. Meanwhile, diplomatic efforts are underway to resolve the ongoing nuclear dispute between Iran and the United States. Iranian diplomats have been meeting with mediators in Oman, and there are reports that progress is being made towards a potential agreement. However, significant challenges remain, including disagreements over Iran's ballistic missile program and the enrichment of uranium. As we go to break, it's clear that the situation in Iran and the broader Middle East remains highly volatile. We'll be keeping a close eye on developments and bringing you updates as more information becomes available. We'll be right back with more of today's top news on Barbara's Bulletin. Welcome back to Barbara's Bulletin. I'm your host, Barbara. We're continuing our exploration of the latest developments in international news, and today we're focusing on the complex situation unfolding in South America. We have two stories that caught our attention, both related to the region's ongoing struggles with guerrilla groups, economic growth, and diplomatic shifts. First, let's look at Colombia, where Defense Minister Pedro Sanchez has announced that Venezuela is pressuring Colombian rebel groups since the fall of Nicolás Maduro. This marks a significant change in strategy from Caracas, which had previously been accused of supporting these leftist groups. According to Minister Sanchez, Venezuela has begun pushing these groups back across the border, creating an opportunity for Colombia to restore security cooperation with its neighbor. This shift has allowed Colombian forces to launch operations against guerrilla groups, including the National Liberation Army, or ELN, which is one of the country's biggest surviving rebel groups. Meanwhile, in a separate development, Colombian presidential candidate Carlos Andrés Pérez has outlined his vision for the country's economic growth and security. As the leader of the Defenders of the Homeland movement, he promises to reduce the size of the government by 40%, reactivate Colombia's hydrocarbons sector, and cut taxes to increase private investment. Pérez believes that his government could achieve between 6% and 7% annual economic growth by boosting infrastructure, construction, agriculture, and tourism. He also emphasizes the importance of security, stating that if Colombia has security, it will have investors, and if it has confidence to invest, it will have social investment. As we consider these developments, it's essential to recognize the complexities at play in this region. The relationships between governments, guerrilla groups, and economic interests are multifaceted and often fraught with tension. We'll continue to monitor these situations and provide you with updates as more information becomes available. For now, it's clear that the region is undergoing significant changes, and the outcomes will have far-reaching implications for the people of Colombia, Venezuela, and beyond. Welcome back to Barbara's Bulletin. As we wrap up today's show, we're diving into a developing story that's making headlines across the nation. Attorney General Pam Bondi recently testified before the House Judiciary Committee, facing intense scrutiny over the Department of Justice's handling of the Jeffrey Epstein investigation files. The hearing quickly turned chaotic, with Bondi clashing with lawmakers from both sides of the aisle. Democrats, in particular, pressed her on the department's decision to release documents with incomplete redactions, exposing the names of dozens of survivors, including some who were minors when they were abused by Epstein. Representative Pramila Jayapal asked Bondi to apologize to the survivors, many of whom were in attendance at the hearing. However, Bondi refused, instead deflecting and attempting to shift the focus away from her department's actions. This response sparked outrage, with many critics arguing that the DOJ has failed to prioritize the needs and privacy of the survivors. The controversy surrounding the Epstein files has raised serious questions about transparency, accountability, and the treatment of victims in high-profile investigations. As Jimmy Kimmel noted in his commentary on the hearing, if they have nothing to hide, why are they hiding names? That's the only question anybody needs to ask. It's maddening. As we conclude this segment, it's essential to acknowledge the complexity and sensitivity of this issue. The Epstein case has sparked a national conversation about power, privilege, and the justice system's response to allegations of abuse. As more information comes to light, it's crucial that we continue to hold our leaders accountable for their actions and prioritize the well-being and privacy of survivors. That's all for today's Barbara's Bulletin. Remember to like, share, and subscribe, and until next time, stay engaged.